John Lee is double purple, so graduated Northwestern undergrad.
Undergrad and grad.
And then also is a Kellogg MBA as well. I'm going to give you that.
Thank you very much.
And after graduating from Kellogg, John did some consulting, worked for a couple companies, and then went on to just discover this love for data analytics and creating Michelin star level data dishes out of data ingredients. What is this Michelin star thing? That doesn't make any sense. Well, John is also a bit of a chef on the side, by the way.
I do like that.
And I don't mean just like a good home cook. Like, I'm just going to say some words. I'm going to say some words like roasted bone marrow on the grill, homemade ravioli, and I'll just give you one more: sous vide. Right? The man does the sous vide. You know he's not messing around. Also owns his own martial arts gym where he teaches grappling. So, some cool facts on the side. John's going to show us a little bit of Domo. He's going to show us one of the dashboard cases that he's working with. And then we're going to transition over to looking at your dashboards, doing some rapid critiques. And then we're both going to walk around the room while you all do redesigns. John, thank you very much for coming today.
Awesome. Everyone, thank you very much for having me. So I have a company called Dashboard Dudes. And if you want to get some free stuff, I made a gift for you because I love Northwestern. If you go to right here, dashboarddudes.com/Northwestern, I'll give you some stuff. So you can book time with me if you want to talk about anything dashboard related, Google Data Studio, Tableau, Power BI, whatever. I have some SQL formulas in here and some different chart types. So you can have a list. I tell people, you ever go to a Chinese restaurant that have pictures of everything? And you're like, oh, cool. That's what rice looks like. Got it. I did every single chart for this tool called Domo. So you have access to that. That might help you just figure out how you want to display stuff. Okay, let's get into it. So if you are new to dashboarding, data visualization-ish stuff, there are some big tools out there. There's Tableau, Power BI, Google Data Studio, and Domo. I love your opinion. I actually really hate Google Data Studio. It's free for a reason. That's what I'll tell my clients. Power BI is very Microsoft integrated, doesn't do so well with Google. Tableau is the big one, obviously, and Domo is another big one. Disney, Harvard, L'Oreal use Domo. So this is the tool that I mainly use when I do dashboarding for clients. Let's just build some stuff, and I'm going to show you how my mind kind of does this when I do this. So normally I'll break out 3 sections: an overview section, a performance over time section, and a detailed part. I'm just going to do this live. So the professor and I, we have started a restaurant. My last name is Lee. He's Italian. So we're starting a restaurant called Italy Restaurant. We're making pho and ravioli at the same time. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do here is what I usually like to do. First off, I will make this detailed table first. And this is, if you cook, this term mise en place, get all your stuff in order. This is what I will do. So this table is okay, but it's quite boring, right? It's a black and white table. What am I supposed to do from here? Well, if I do something like this, and if I do this, cool, header, sure, who cares? If I do a total row and I go here, and I like to put these total rows like that. Now we have some better context, right? Kind of better, sure, whatever. Now I can see this, but how do I know which month I'm doing well on? Well, that's why I'll use some color. So if I do this, and I say, I agree, a boring table is fine, but if you put some color behind it, now our eyes can move. Now our eyes can move really fast. So I could say, okay, cool, July, August, this month, we had a lot of revenue, a lot of quantity sold for whatnot. Oh, but in August, we had a high gross profit margin. By just using little things like that, that also tells me, cool, now I know the story that I want to tell. Do I want to focus on revenue? Do I want to focus on margins? Whatnot. So what I'll also do here, for instance, is I'll do this. Let's do revenue. Let's do that. We don't want to yell revenue. Revenue to goal, something like that. So if I do this,
I appreciate that you put the grand totals and sums on the top instead of on the bottom. I like that.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
you care about first.
Yeah, just put it. Yeah, that's a little lesson that I learned as well. So I'm going to do, where's my revenue? I'll put this in here. Actually, I'll put that there. And what I'm going to do is a sum of revenue. I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Yeah, and let's do for a certain month. Let's do, I don't know, let's do August or something. let's do is between. Cool. So I want to show you some little things that I've picked up and learned throughout my career. Let's go here, August 1st till the 31st. Cool. Whatever. I have this. This is fine. But this doesn't give me context. Like, I don't know. Am I doing well? Who knows from this stuff? If I put in, though, target, let's put target profit in here instead. And let's change this thing to profit. Let's do this, gross profit instead. Cool. And if I do this, I do max maybe. Nice. Now even just having things like this give me a better sense of, well, I'm really low compared to where I want to be. So you want to put context in there to know, well, so what if I show you a number? Is that the best number we should have done? Could we have done better? Maybe we should have done much better. We have to do better in marketing. Okay. That's one that I'll throw in. Let's do a quick one, performance over time too. And then I want to show you some really fun examples, some real world examples. So we'll do this too.
One of these tables, can you just say a couple words about, like, when you do it in Tableau, it's very like, what do you want on the rows? What do you want on the columns? What do you want to show in color? And I know, like, at the opposite end, Power BI is like, show me some data, and the magic paperclip will make you a graph. Like, it doesn't really do that same thing. Domo seems like it's much closer to the Tableau model.
Domo is much closer to Tableau. They're closer competitors, and those are kind of the premium-ish tools. So if you're in your job and you're talking to somebody, and they're asking you, like, do you have an idea? I would say, the big four, reference those things, do some research. I would say Tableau, Domo are going to be much better, more user-friendly. Those are the ones you kind of want to give some insight to. Okay, let's do a quick one, performance over time too. Again, like, I agree, if we want time, we want our time to be on the bottom axis. And let's just do a small thing. I am not a fan of putting two different, like, not a big fan of putting a bar and a line of two different things. I find it to be very confusing. Normally what I've learned with dashboarding is people like to scroll down. It's more important to do that than to actually click into something and to have more things show and putting too much on a graph at once. Let's do, what's this one here? Total revenue is perfectly fine with me. Right, so this is okay, right? Let me show you an example. Let's do, this is fine. If I put in this part here, if I put that, do this. Cool, yeah, I can see some stuff. I am a big fan of putting as much white space as we can to just tell the story. So what I'm doing is, if I'm putting in the numbers, I don't think there's a need for the grid lines. Why do you care of the grid lines if you're already putting in the number? Another thing that I'll do is, sure, our eyes pop out at this. We see, oh, this 55 is really high. Is that good? I don't know. What if I put this in here and I say, the number we want to be better at is 50,000. Now our eyes are helping us to know, oh, that was the only month that we really did well, performance over time. So little things like that, it's really much a mix between UX and art and actually putting in the numbers together to tell people. But people pay me to do this. They pay me to figure out what's going on with their story. And I would love to show you, that's a quick one on how to build some dashboards. I'd love to show you some real dashboards for some clients that I have. They gave me the go ahead to say this, so I will show you. That's cool. Good? All right, let's do it. Okay, this is one of my pro bono clients. This is a nonprofit called Rising Star Outreach. What they do is they set up schools in India for kids with leprosy. Kids in India that have leprosy usually get left behind. So they are the ones providing teachers, actually the facility, the material, whatnot, from sponsors in the US and other places to help these kids out. Before meeting with me, and we've only been working together for 3 months maybe, they had zero eyes on the problem. So I asked them, how do you know if your students are doing better? And they're like, we don't. They didn't. They also were using names instead of IDs for students. Think about how many people named Ravi there are in India. And you're like, okay, yeah, Ravi is the one who's doing well. So I was like, we got to get IDs in here. We got to stop doing things on paper. They were actually taking scores on paper. Like, we got to move to like a Google form, put that form into a sheet, put that sheet in a Domo. Let's do some stuff. So here's an example of a dashboard that I helped them make. Is here you can pick filters at the top. I like to do controls at the top. You can pick a student, whoever you want. You have their ID now, different types of exams. You can see the different students here with their profiles, that they're real people, what's going on about them. But when we get to the meat of it, we can say, okay, cool. let's organize this. Let's see which course is doing the best for our students, which courses are we not doing the best at, and how the color coding here works is green is above the median, red is below the median, yellow is the median. Cool? So now what they're able to say is they're able to really zone in real fast and say, oh, wow, our students are killing it at computer applications and English, not so hot at maths, plural, and outside of the US, and physics. So this was actually very, very helpful for them because they know, like, we got to go focus on this thing. Another thing where they didn't have eyes on, I told you, they didn't know, are students doing well or not? Well, I was able to take their data that we finally had to digitize, put it all together, and we're able to say, yeah, cool. I can actually definitively say, yes, our students are doing better over time because we have this best fit line here. But look, we can make the story even better. If I click into this sucker and if I take this off, now we can see by subject. Cool. Which subject are students doing really good at? Which ones are they kind of tanking at? So we know, okay, we know which ones we need to focus on a little bit. Is it really recency weighted? What's going on with that? And again, I can actually do another trick and go in here. I could take off the year and I'll take the green out later, but the purple and the orange, those are the genders of the kids, and the green is what we don't have information for. But now we're able to see, oh, are boys doing better than girls at this subject or not over time? But literally, they did not have eyes on any of this stuff. So now what the president is doing, he's presenting this to his board, actually right now on a weekend. So they're very excited to have some of this data. And one more thing too, is we did the same thing with sponsors. So we said, cool, where are all your sponsors coming from? How much of that sponsored donation is in the US, from Australia, from India, whatever? Again, I like to put overviews at the top right away. What's going on? How much are they spending? How much are they donating on average? How long are they donating? Usually, who are your top sponsors here to give them some love? And this was actually a very cool insight. So this is, why did sponsorships end? And what's the reason and how much, the volume and the amount of donation money. And our eyes normally go to right here, right? We say, oh, this is a big pie. What's going on with this sucker? It's like, okay, this accounts for 314 sponsors that stopped donating, worth $117,000 in donation money. But that's because they just kind of stopped. They ghosted. It's Friday 13th happened. We're just ghosting everybody. And then we have the child matured. This means that they graduated out of the school, so they really can't control that. But this was the one where our eyes kind of took it. So if you look here, smaller pie, but 120 versus 117. This means the child chose to leave the school. So now when the president said, he's like, oh, you know what? We've been focusing on all these extra things rather than the core, what we used to do. We need to get back to our basics of helping these kids out with these different programs. So that's going to be his big pitch that he's giving to the board today, like right now, all from doing all this. So very, very cool stuff of how dashboarding can really help out an organization. Cool. I think that's it for me. Anybody have any questions on anything?
Any questions in general about, I suspect you might have questions about Domo, or you might have questions, another good thing to ask John is about the different packages. Like, hey, I used to use Power BI, my company uses this. How does a company choose to use one package over another? Any questions like that? Because John has a much better perspective on how these choices get made, what the pluses and minuses are, etc. Any questions like that? I don't want to put words in your mouth. You can, repeat one of the things I just said if you're interested. I know, Disha, you had questions on this.
Can you compare Power BI to Domo?
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so Domo, I really prefer Domo, and I'll give you two specific reasons why. The first reason is it's all in your browser. You don't need to download anything. So if I'm if I'm traveling and I'm like, oh man, my computer died or something, I'm good. I can just go find a computer, log in. I think that's one of the best things about it. First one. Second one is this. These are all connectors. Connectors are basically APIs that Domo's already done the work, so you just need to log in. Power BI and Tableau have about 80. Domo has 1,000. So if you think about these as ingredients, think how much stuff you can make with 1,000 ingredients versus 8 ingredients. So my base is marketing. So if we were to type in like LinkedIn, I got organic and paid. If we were to do Google, we got a bunch of things in Google, right? This is Google Ads, Google Analytics, 4, 5, whatever, Facebook. You can see here, organic, paid. That's like 6, right? I just named real quickly. 6 out of 1,000, not a big deal. 6 out of 80, pretty big deal. So this is I think these are 2 objective reasons why I really like Domo and the connector tools as opposed to Power BI and Tableau. So hopefully that helps out. Yeah, they're all pretty much the same. A pie chart's a pie chart, whatever. Learning SQL is like learning how to do some like if Excel statement type thing. They're just UX on using things. I think Domo does a pretty good job. You can always get a student trial or whatever. They'll give you student license, I think, for free. If you want to talk about that, I'm happy to show you that. So you can have some experience with it moving around. But they're pretty much the same.
One more question on prep tools. So I showed them a flash of Tableau prep. There's other tools like Alteryx where if you want to do database joining and data cleaning, what's the space of that look like? What are the other main competitors out there?
For cleaning?
Yeah, cleaning and joins. Looks like Domo has most of the join stuff just included in it.
Yeah.
Their prep tools sort of in the guts of Domo.
Yeah. So if I wanted to clean, so we've talked about cooking, right? So I always say this. So I'm going to pick on maybe this one. I don't know, whatever. This is my kitchen right here. And so I don't know if anybody used to do this. I used to do this. Did you use this? I used to type SQL code by hand. That's a pain in the butt. That's like in Excel, if someone's like, hey, how do I make that cell green? You're like, Alt HH RGB 120 400. That's like, what is going on? Just click green. So this is my kitchen where now what I can do is I can have all these different tools here. This is like my stand mixer, my oven, my cutting board, and I just drag them in. And to do these joins and other cleanup is very easy. Even for me, someone who's a pro at doing the typing, like I'm never doing that again. This is much, much easier, much faster, easier to communicate the story, what's happening with people. And what's really cool is you can trigger these to run. You could say, hey, whenever any of these data sets is updated, automatically go do your job. So what's cool is I have these going to the stakeholders so we know alerts right away. It's emailed to them. No one even has to even open up Domo sometimes. They just get the message beginning of the Monday, something like that.
So this is what in the Tableau tutorial saw me do some basic database joins. This is the weapons grade version of that, and Tableau Plep's screen looks similar to that if you want to play with the Tableau version. But this is like join it, split it, take the union of the data sets, do a text to columns, like all those things that you might do in Excel. It'll take you a while. Plus the joins, the VLOOKUPs, the index function. It'll do all that sort of an automated flowcharting script. So when I go through and I make your dashboards, I press a button, I press run, it generates the thing, I post it up. It took me 3 hours to make that one day, but once it's done, it just goes.
And what's cool too is Domo they not just released, but fairly recently, all this data scientist stuff. So if you know how to do like prediction, classification, whatever, what's super cool is they integrated with ChatGPT. So I've done this where I don't know how to write Python. I asked ChatGPT, like, how do I write a code to find me the minimum of something in Python? And it just shot it back to me. It's not strictly copy paste. You have to know a little bit, but like, whoa, that just amped up the game. If you want to talk more about any of these things, dashboarding tools, how to do it, whatever, cooking, you want to talk? So last time someone asked about my sous vide. What do I sous vide? I'm like, let's get into it. I'm happy to talk about it. So find me afterwards. We'll do it.